Hello! Welcome to Ring of Red. You have joined just in time for some punching. Well, let's get to it. Ippei's AFW has a fair bit more durability than his squads right now, so I'm just gonna hit first and take counterattack. Medium AFWs don't have the best punches. And yes, that is including Kaiho's machine. Rapid punch is not bad, but it doesn't really stand up to a full-fledged anti-AFW. Ooh, yep. They moved their squad forward, so they weren't able to back off, and then this happens. Well, that is still not bad, though. Well, I think part of it is that particular enemy AFW is extremely heavy in everything that it does. It's actually a pretty solid design. It's not really a mystery that the Loyal Army uses it. You just have to work around the long loading times. Well, Ippei can't hold that forward position forever, though. He relies on maximum attacks to do his best defending, and he's almost out of that. So I'm gonna need to follow up pretty soon. So, Kinsato, you'll have to go to it. Even though this means going into woods. Well, it's going to be unfortunate, but the alternative is him just sitting there doing nothing, which is worse than delaying a turn due to woods. As soon as I make up my mind and head over there. Well, that city behind all of those guys, that is the only enemy city with a squad in it for this mission. But, well, considering the nature of this mission, it's likely that there's a really nice squad back there. Which makes things kind of dangerous because if I attack the enemy in such a way that they're tempted to move back and recover, it'll be really easy for me to lose that squad. The only way to deal with this is to get rid of both enemy squads so that they don't have a chance to put a weakened squad in the crew. The good news is that Kinsato is very good at this, which of course you know quite well since you've been watching vids before this one. Also, it's nighttime. This is very good for us. Now the correct thing for me to do is to use... Yeah, okay. Kinsato is good with situational shells like this because, of course, he loads really fast, so he doesn't lose much by firing a non-damaging shot like that. So then, should I use a maximum attack? Well, they're likely to pull that shooter squad back if I don't. Plus, they'd be able to fire off their skill, so might as well do this. Also, I love that line, "This is only possible because of this machine." And the reason I like that line a lot is, even by the standard of North and South Japan, which use machines that are at least 10 years out of date, Kinsato's machine is really old-fashioned. Like, past the first couple of missions, there aren't any light AFWs that use no main gun, just the autocannon. However, it does allow Kinsato to do really wicked things against infantry. So I feel kind of lucky that the enemy ignores that sort of thing. I don't blame them exactly. That is, I don't think it's foolish. Because if an AFW gets knocked out, the battle is over. It's a pretty reasonable priority. So, this is the main problem with Kinsato's machine right there. Which is, it has to be at the front, it has to absorb the enemy's first strikes in order to remove enemy squads. However, it's not really built to take that damage. Dodge action does not work on shells like that. Ooh, in retrospect that was a bad move, because I did not especially need to push the enemy further back. Oh well. Now this is significant because I do not like to use 2 maximum attacks in one encounter. Especially in later missions, there's just going to be too many enemies for me to use the maxes like that. In this case though, Kinsato had already taken a pretty severe hit, and I felt like I couldn't really afford another one. Especially from this kind of machine. Their medium range attacks, well, they're almost like 4-leg attacks in scale. Now, the reason that I wanted to use text commentary in the first place is, due to the length of these battles, I'm gonna run out of things to say. And I know this isn't radio, there's things going on during the video, there's gameplay and game sounds, but it still feels really bad to have dead air. And, of course, maybe no one would notice it if I didn't bring attention to it like that. But since part of the point of this is for me to describe what I'm doing and thinking, well, there it is. As much as I'd like to pull Ippei back, that would leave Ayana really open, so it would not work out. And this is why I was annoyed that Ippei went just a little bit before Ryoko did. I couldn't have had Ryoko wait like 15 in-game minutes for Ippei to move. Of course, I'm sure there's very good in-game reasons to not allow that sort of thing. remember when I said that it made a lot of sense for the Loyal Army to use the slightly older design medium AFWs? I don't think the same applies to the forelegs. They are just flimsy and they don't even have the good accuracy or power to back it up. Or armor, even though it looks like it should be just a big block of armor. It is clearly not. Now, I was pretty happy about this because Ippei doesn't get that many opportunities to finish off enemy AFWs, in my experience. Your mileage may vary, of course. That's because, as I've described before, Ippei's job is to absorb the first attacks and let other people follow up. The way that he gets his experience is from getting into many more encounters than the others. That is, he gets attacked by 4 or 5 people, gets a chunk of experience, and then lets everyone else move, and they get maybe 1 or 2 battles each out of it. Also, the stand in place and recover option is quite useful for him in particular, and for times like this in general. Ooh, so Ayana is not in very good shape, but I do have some advantages which made me think it was a good time to attack. There's an enemy with not very much health, but would cause trouble if he backed off. Also, it's nighttime and this is long range, and my squads will push the enemy back. They don't even have any special shells left. That was the upside to them using it on Kinsato. They can get away with shenanigans like this, even though Ayana has less than half of her health left, and she's not really able to take punches even in the best of circumstances. Also, this is another chance to get a finishing strike with Ayana, which she really needs. The trick is going to be what happens when it's her turn later. I had to move into woods, of course, and she's definitely going to have to recover some time, but the delay of recovering in woods and just being in woods for 2 turns in a row is going to be pretty severe. On the other hand, after some of the things that she pulled off in this mission, maybe she deserves a break. Now, I believe I've mentioned before, either in the New Game Plus thread or in my videos, how refreshing it is for nighttime to be an advantage for the player most of the time. I suspect that part of this is because I've played classic XCOM for a while, and nighttime in XCOM is, well, there are some people who find it fun. I would love to be able to hold that mentality, but it's what makes XCOM XCOM, I'll give it that. Also, 35 experience is huge. The enemies in this game, or in this level, are very high experience level, and I guess that's done kind of to emphasize how veteran and elite these guys are. It's also handy for us, though, because when we do make it through, we'll have advanced quite a bit. Most of the pilots will have their third maximum attack. Also, remember what I said about the limits of special shells? So APCR, well, I'm not quite sure which of the sides has it worse off. I'm gonna guess Ipe because his gun is pretty weak even before the damage fall off at long range, and it suffers it a little bit worse than the medium AFW does. Also, this is the speed of him moving backwards. It's very clear that the machine is not made for that. I can pretty easily see why. Like, your whole job is to move forward and punch things. Why would you ever want to move back? Although this is going to make it easier for when I have to follow up and finish off this enemy. I would not want to take those shells at mid-range, I'll tell you that. Wow, he started at long range and it took most of the battle. Why didn't you turn around earlier? I know, game mechanics don't allow it, but that would have made the escape much easier, and you might have gotten shot in the back and your entire crew could have been killed because it's an open cabin sort of thing. Okay, fine. Fine, I get it. Still dumb. John is trying to get us all killed, apparently. So, if I'm going to make some risky moves like a long-range shootout, this is a great time for it because a lot of these enemies are not built for nighttime battles. Like, I'd say that maybe a third of the enemies I've fought have some way to cope with the nighttime penalties. Whereas I found that it's very easy to fit some kind of illumination or reasonable alternative in everyone's squad builds. Alright, this should be a no-brainer. Thank you. The one risky thing about this is that my scout squads are kinda damaged. So, what I especially want to do is avoid having my rightmost squad take a focus shot. Now, if I had been paying proper attention, I would have noticed that the infantry had moved forward before their skill was charged, but instead I do this. And bombardment is rarely the wrong choice in this particular setup. Well, at least as long as bombardment is my only anti-infantry option. That's going to change a bit later. Quite shortly. I should have a chance to show off his third skill next map. Now that kind of missed shot, I kind of cringe even though it's just AI, because that machine in particular has the longest possible load time of any machine in the game. It would be hard to say that any amount of time aiming would be wasted time with a reload like that. Now, when I said about not wanting to use 2 maximum attacks in one go, is a little different for this setup, because John doesn't really have any defensive options. It's not like Kinsato with his dodge actions. Also, you notice it did not take very long for him to adjust his accuracy to daytime levels. He has ridiculous aiming speed. And you aim slower at night, too. So, this time I had a reason to move only one of my squads forward. This way, the squad with more health and, I think, more armor takes the enemy shot. And so I'm put in less danger later. In theory. Oh, and the other reason that I felt okay with using 2 max attacks there is that John does not attack, or he doesn't get more turns very quickly, so there's more of a need to get the best result from every time he gets to attack. So, do I want to move Weisegger forward, or do I want to move Jun forward? Trick question. If both of them move forward 1 tile, they'll both be able to reach the front lines quickly. You know why? Tell me, why can't I beat these guys who have been beating the entire map? Well, he does have kind of a point in that, wow, so a polished veteran would do that? He is walking into the fists of Ippei. Why would you do that? Actually, the reason is the AI said that you have to attack, and this was the only position it could attack from. But still, polished veterans, ladies and gentlemen. Or ladies, I don't know. So, Ippei does have a point about one thing, which is, and this has been discussed earlier in the story, so I kind of like it. Weisegger doesn't have an especially good reason to be doing this. I mean, the whole reason he got started was that Kaiho said a mean thing about him in Mission 2. That's probably not going to cut it in a situation like this. Wow. Well, I could have moved my mechanics forward and finished the enemy off, but that would have given the enemy more room to move more effective units forward. Well, more effective at that range anyway. Okay, so you've taken some hits, Kinsato. The prudent thing would be to move you back and recover, and that would probably be it for the mission, considering that there don't seem to be many enemies left. On the other hand, that city. So if I go there and recover, that's really good terrain and it's at night, so they're gonna have some trouble dislodging him. And it takes away the risk of them moving back and capturing that squad themselves. And that was a really nice supply squad. It's rare for supply squads to have smoke shots, and I think I could make good use of that later to help preserve them in tough situations. Because smoke shells last a really long time, like most of the battle. So this enemy has 2 heat shells. I'm kind of hoping he fires them right now because heat shells are not made for long-range combat, and medium AFWs also get a lot of drop-off at long range, so I mean, I'd rather not take the 31 damage in the first place, but I suspect that it's going to save trouble later, and it's a much better idea than having Kinsato move forward to tangle with it and taking the heat shells at short. That would be I don't know. That would be a horrible thing to do, especially since I mostly need him to just survive. And I think this is going to push him out of out into escape range. That is the most pathetic special shell I've seen ever. So that worked. Well, can Kinsato troll his way to victory? We will find out next time. Thanks for watching. Later.